Welcome back to Mystic Podcast Cruise, where we explore the mysteries of the universe, one captivating story at a time. I'm Jake Hart, your curious guide on this cosmic journey.
And I'm Zara Moon, here to bring the wisdom of the stars and the unseen realms into our discussions. Together, we're uncovering the truths that lie beyond the veil.
All right, so are you ready to dive into some seriously creepy stories about New Year's Eve? You know, that time when everyone's supposed to be celebrating and full of hope for the new year?
Yeah, well, sometimes things don't exactly go as planned, do they?
Definitely not. And tonight we're exploring those times when New Year's Eve takes a seriously dark turn. We're talking about real stories, not just some made-up stuff. These are accounts from Mr. Nightmare's YouTube channel, people who experience something truly terrifying.
What I find fascinating is that these aren't like, those ghost stories or urban legends that get passed around.
Yeah.
These are real people who are just going about their lives and suddenly, bam, their New Year's Eve turns into a nightmare.
Exactly. Ordinary people in ordinary situations until they're not. Tonight we'll be unpacking 3 of these stories.
Right.
Each one is unique, but they all share this unsettling feeling that things can change in an instant. And I think that's what makes them so scary.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it reminds us that even when we think we're safe, danger can be lurking right around the corner.
Okay, so let's get into this first story called Something in the Woods. It takes place in Ohio, where this young guy is driving home from college after what sounds like a pretty rough semester.
Yeah, not only did he have to stay at school later than he wanted, but he's a huge Browns fan, and they just finished a totally winless season.
Oof, yeah. Not a great way to end the year.
And then, to make matters worse, his flight home is delayed.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
So he's making this drive all alone late at night.
And it's winter in Ohio, right?
Oh yeah, it's freezing cold, snowy, the roads are probably pretty treacherous.
The only company he has is his family's golden retriever, Vera.
It kind of sounds peaceful in a way, just driving through the quiet countryside.
Right. Until he has to pull over.
Right, Vera needs a bathroom break. He stops in this clearing surrounded by these really dense woods, and it's like pitch black.
I bet it's super creepy out there.
And then he starts to hear this sound, like something heavy crashing through the trees.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and it's getting closer.
Ugh, I would be freaked out. What do you think he was thinking at that point?
Oh, I mean, it's the middle of nowhere, it's dark, you're all alone. Your mind starts to go to some pretty scary places.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, get this, Vera, who's usually a really calm dog, she just bolts into the woods.
No, she just takes off.
Yeah, she's totally spooked.
So now he's got this creepy sound in the woods, his dog's gone, and he's all alone. That's a pretty terrifying situation.
It is, but he doesn't hesitate. He grabs his phone to use as a flashlight and runs into the woods after Vera.
Wow, that's brave. I don't know if I could do that.
I think it's that instinct, to protect your dog.
Yeah.
He's probably not even thinking about the danger.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's calling out Vera's name, but he can't see anything, just the small circle of light from his phone.
And can you imagine how loud that crashing sound must have been in the silence of the woods? It's like, right there.
Exactly. He said he felt totally disoriented, lost in the darkness. And the cold.
So what happens? Does he find Vera?
He does, but she's not okay. She's whimpering, she's scared, and she's hurt. He realizes she's been stabbed.
What? Stabbed?
Right.
Like with a knife?
Yeah, there was a cut on her shoulder. He knew right then that this wasn't just some animal in the woods.
Oh my God, that is terrifying.
And as if things couldn't get any worse, he hears that crashing sound again. It's closer this time.
He knows whatever is out there is coming for them.
He scoops up Vera and runs back to the car as fast as he can.
I bet the adrenaline was pumping.
As he's driving away, he sees these figures standing at the edge of the woods, just watching him.
Oh God. That image, those figures in the darkness, that's what really gets me. They were being watched the whole time.
And that unanswered question, who were those figures and why did they do this? It just adds this whole other layer of creepiness to the story.
Totally. And it makes you wonder, right? Like, was this random or were they targeted for some reason?
It's a mystery, and I think that's part of what makes this story so unsettling. You're left with this feeling of unease, like anything could happen, anywhere, anytime.
It makes you think twice about stopping in those dark, secluded places.
Especially when you're alone. You just never know who or what might be out there.
This next story takes place during a blizzard. Can you imagine anything scarier than being trapped in a blizzard?
Especially when you're all alone.
Yeah, talk about feeling isolated.
Oh, absolutely.
This woman is driving to her parents' house for New Year's Eve. She likes those long drives, actually enjoys being on the road.
Well, yeah, until a blizzard hits. I mean, how quickly things can change, right?
Right, like 1 minute you're cruising along, enjoying the scenery, and the next minute, bam, you're in a whiteout.
And you're totally at the mercy of the elements.
Yeah, what would you even do in that situation? I mean, if you were caught in a blizzard like that.
Well, I think the most important thing is to stay calm, right? Don't panic. Assess the situation. This woman did the right thing. She pulled over and waited for the storm to pass.
Yeah, she's smart.
And then, in the middle of all this chaos, a snowplow shows up.
Oh, that must have felt like a miracle. A sign of hope.
Right, it's like this beacon of light in the darkness. And the driver, he seems like a decent guy. He offers her a ride.
Well, yeah, I mean, who wouldn't accept a ride in that situation?
Yeah, it makes sense.
You're stranded, freezing cold.
But here's the thing. There's something about this driver that just doesn't feel quite right to her.
She had a bad feeling about him.
Yeah, she mentioned feeling uneasy as she climbed into the cab of that snowplow, like something was off. But what was she supposed to do?
Stay out there in the blizzard by herself.
Exactly. It's a tough call.
So she ignores that feeling.
She gets in the truck and, as they're driving, she starts noticing these little things, little details that just add to that feeling of unease.
Like what kind of details?
Well, for one, there are empty liquor bottles rolling around on the floor of the cab.
Oh, okay.
Then she sees these maps, but they're all ripped up, torn to shreds.
That's creepy.
And then, at one point, she catches a glimpse of a knife.
A knife?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm getting really creeped out.
Right. And to top it all off, he's not taking her towards town, towards safety. He's going in the opposite direction.
He's taking her further away from her destination.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad.
She realizes she's made a terrible mistake, but she's trapped. She's in this big truck with this guy who is clearly not who she thought he was.
This is like a classic horror movie scenario, right?
It is, isn't it? But for her, it's all too real.
It must have been terrifying.
And then, off in the distance, she sees a light, a house.
Okay, this is her chance.
She knows she has to take a risk.
Oh my gosh, she jumped out.
Yeah.
In the middle of a blizzard.
She jumps out of that moving snowplow and runs towards that house. It's a desperate move, but she's got to get away from that guy.
That is incredibly brave.
Yeah. She's lucky she wasn't seriously injured.
I can't imagine the adrenaline rush.
She makes it to that house. She gets help. The police are called.
What happened to the driver?
They never found him. He disappeared into the storm.
Wow. So we don't know if he was just some creepy guy or if he had something worse planned.
Exactly. That's what makes this story so disturbing. She escaped, but she'll never know what might have happened if she hadn't trusted her gut and gotten out of that truck.
It's a reminder that we can't always judge a book by its cover,
Yeah.
Sometimes the people who seem like they're there to help are the ones we need to be the most careful of. And speaking of trusting the wrong people, that's what our last story for tonight is all about, the Good Samaritan trap. This time, we're heading to a remote lake in Ontario, where a group of friends are about to have their New Year's Eve tradition turned upside down. This one really gets to me because it involves ice fishing.
Oh, yeah, you're a big outdoors person, right?
Yeah, I love spending time out in nature, especially during the winter. But this story, it kind of makes you think twice about venturing out into those remote areas.
Definitely. It shows how, even in the most peaceful settings, things can go wrong very quickly.
So in this story, we have these three friends who have this annual tradition of going ice fishing on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, it's on this remote lake in Ontario.
And it's not just about the fishing. It's kind of like a way for them to connect with nature.
Right. And they're also honoring the memory of one of their friends' fathers who started this whole tradition.
So it's a really meaningful thing for them.
It is. It's like a special bond they share.
So they head out to this lake, excited for their annual ritual. They get there and start unloading their gear from the truck, and that's when they notice this guy.
There's this man just standing there watching them.
Okay, that's a little creepy, right? Just some random guy lurking around the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that they all get this bad feeling about him right away.
Like a gut instinct.
Exactly. He's bundled up in winter gear, but he's not moving, just standing there staring at them. One of the friends even says something like, "That guy is creeping me out."
Yeah, I would feel the same way.
But before they can really process that feeling, the guy starts running towards them.
What? Why? What's going on?
He's like totally frantic, waving his arms. He says his friend fell through the ice and he needs help.
Oh my God.
And he's pointing to his phone like he just got a call about it. He's really convincing in his desperation.
So they believe him.
They do. I mean, someone's life is at stake, right? You don't really stop to think about it too much in a situation like that.
No, you just react.
Exactly.
So what do? Do they try to call for help?
They don't even have time. This guy's like, come on, we gotta hurry, every second counts. So they just grab whatever gear they can, ropes, ice picks, anything that might be useful, and they follow him towards the lake.
It's like their instinct to help just takes over.
Yeah. It's like he's playing on their good nature.
Oh God, that's so messed up.
As they're running towards the lake, one of the friends starts to realize that something isn't right.
Like what?
The guy is leading them away from the usual fishing spots, like towards this more remote area of the lake, where the ice might be thinner.
Ah, so he's not taking them to where his friend supposedly fell through the ice.
Exactly. And then they see them. 2 other guys waiting for them.
Oh no.
And it hits them. This was all a setup.
Those poor guys, they went from wanting to help to being victims in a matter of minutes.
It's awful, right? They're outnumbered. They're out in the middle of nowhere. And these guys, they're armed.
What happened?
They get robbed, they get tied up, and these guys just disappear into the night.
They just left them there.
Yeah, stranded on the ice.
That's so cold.
They eventually managed to free themselves and call for help, but those guys, they were never caught.
Wow, so they never found out why they were targeted.
Nope. No idea if it was random or if these guys had been watching them planning this whole thing.
It really makes you wonder, right? Like, what kind of people would do something like that? Prey on people who are just trying to help.
It's chilling. And it makes you think twice about trusting strangers, even when they seem to be in desperate need.
All 3 of these stories we talked about tonight, they're all pretty disturbing in their own way.
They are. They really highlight those dark possibilities that can lurk beneath the surface of everyday life, especially during a time like New Year's Eve when we're supposed to be celebrating and feeling optimistic.
But I think there's also a positive message here, too.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, these stories show that even in the face of danger, people can be incredibly brave and resilient. And that even when bad things happen, there's always hope.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. It's about finding that balance, being aware of the potential dangers out there,
Right.
but not letting fear control our lives.
Exactly. And trusting our instincts. If something feels off, it probably is.
Yeah, that gut feeling, it's there for a reason.
Well, thanks for joining me tonight on this deep dive into the dark side of New Year's Eve. It's been enlightening, to say the least.
It has. It's always good to be reminded that even in the darkest of times, there's always light to be found.
And to our listeners out there, thanks for tuning in. If you've got any thoughts on these stories, or maybe even some creepy New Year's Eve stories of your own, we'd love to hear them. Share them with us in the comments. And until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and have a happy New Year.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Mystic Podcast Cruise. If you enjoyed today's story, give this video a thumbs up and share it with others who love uncovering life's mysteries. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Your support helps us continue bringing you captivating stories about the unknown, the mystical, and the extraordinary. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and keep cruising through the mysteries of life with us here on Mystic Podcast Cruise.